The sun no longer rose the way it used to. In the small village of Ilaria's Edge, mornings arrived quietly, wrapped in a pale gray light that barely touched the stone streets. Once, the sun had painted the rooftops gold, warmed the fields, and filled the air with life. But now, it lingered behind thick clouds, as if afraid to fully appear. At the center of this village stood a young girl named Liora. She was no different from the other villagers at first glance. Slender, quiet, wearing simple clothes stitched many times over. Yet there was something about her presence that made people pause, even if they could not explain why. When Liora walked through the narrow streets, lanterns seemed to glow a little brighter. Shadows retreated just slightly. Liora had been an orphan for as long as she could remember. She lived in a small wooden house at the edge of the village, where the forest began to whisper at night. Every morning, she stepped outside and looked toward the sky, hoping, praying, that the sun would return to its former brilliance. But each day, the light felt weaker, colder, more distant. The villagers spoke in hushed voices about the fading sun. Crops were growing slower. Nights were stretching longer. Fear moved silently from home to home, settling into hearts like an uninvited guest. Elders blamed ancient curses. Others spoke of forgotten magic. But no one had answers, except, perhaps, Liora. She first noticed it on a morning unlike any other. As she carried water from the village well, her fingers brushed against the cold metal handle. Suddenly, warmth spread through her hands. Not the warmth of effort, but something deeper, something alive. A soft glow appeared. Startled, Liora dropped the bucket. Water spilled across the ground, but she barely noticed. Her hands shimmered with a gentle golden light, pulsing slowly, like a heartbeat. She gasped and pulled her hands close to her chest, fear tightening her breath. The light dimmed, then vanished. The elder's voice was calm, but every word carried weight. She slowly unrolled the ancient scroll. Its surface cracked and yellowed with age. Symbols etched in faded gold shimmered faintly as candlelight danced across them. Liora leaned closer, feeling the familiar warmth rise in her chest. "These words were written before your village was built," the elder said. "Before the sun began to fade." She traced a finger across the scroll. "When the light weakens and shadows grow long, a child will rise from quiet beginnings. She will carry the warmth of the sun within her hands." Liora's breath trembled. The elder looked up. "That child is you." The room felt suddenly smaller. Liora wanted to deny it, to run, to hide. But her glowing palms betrayed her fear. The prophecy spoke of a relic called the Shard of Dawn, hidden deep within the crystal mountains. Only the bearer of light could awaken it. Only through sacrifice could the sun be restored. "You must leave the village," the elder said softly. "If you stay, darkness will follow." Tears filled Liora's eyes. "I'm not ready," she whispered. "No one ever is," the elder replied. "But the light chose you because you are strong enough." Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. The journey had begun. The road beyond the village was narrow and broken, swallowed by wild grass and time. Liora walked alone, her cloak pulled tight against the wind. That's when she felt it. Presence. Before she could react, a hand darted toward her satchel. She spun around just in time to see a young man leap back, grinning. "Easy there," he said. "I was just curious." He was fast, sharp-eyed, dressed in worn leather armor marked by countless journeys. "My map," Liora said, gripping it tightly. Kael raised his hands. "Relax. I don't steal from glowing girls." But his eyes lingered on her faintly lit hands. "You're not normal," he added. "Neither are you," she replied. Something unspoken passed between them, recognition, perhaps. Kael had run from something once. Liora could see it in his eyes. Against her better judgment, she let him walk beside her. Neither of them realized how deeply their paths were about to intertwine. The forest breathed. Trees leaned inward, their branches whispering secrets older than memory. Glowing plants pulsed softly beneath their feet, lighting the path in shades of blue and green. Liora walked ahead, her light pushing back the darkness. Kael followed close behind, hand resting on his blade. Then came the fox. Small, silver-furred, eyes glowing with intelligence. "You're late," it said. Kael froze. Did that fox just talk? The creature introduced itself as Eryn, guardian of forgotten paths. It had been waiting for the light-bearer. Together, the three moved deeper into the forest, battling shadow beasts and illusions meant to break their resolve. Each step tested them. Each step bound them closer. And far away something watched and waited. The river of shadows did not flow like ordinary water. It moved slowly, thick and dark, reflecting no sky, no stars, only fear. A cold mist rose from its surface, wrapping itself around Liora's legs as soon as she stepped closer. Every instinct told her to turn back. "This place feeds on doubt," Eryn whispered. "If you hesitate, it will pull you under." Kael tightened his grip on his blade. "Great, a river that eats fear. Why is it always something like this?" The stones crossing the river were uneven, slick with shadow. One wrong step meant falling into the darkness below, a darkness no one ever returned from. Liora took a breath. Her hands began to glow. Light spilled onto the river's surface, revealing shapes beneath. Faces, reaching hands, memories of loss. The river whispered her name, reminding her of everything she could lose. She saw her village, the elder, a life that could have been safe. Her foot slipped. Kael lunged forward, grabbing her arm just in time. "Don't listen to it," he said urgently. "You're stronger than this." Tears streamed down Liora's face as she steadied herself. She focused not on fear but on hope. With every step forward, her light grew brighter. The shadows screamed as the final stone was reached. The river recoiled, defeated. They had crossed. But the cost was clear. Darkness now knew her strength. The crystal mountains rose before them like the bones of the world itself. At their base stood the stone guardians, massive figures carved from ancient rock, glowing runes etched deep into their chests. Their eyes ignited as the travelers approached. Kael swore under his breath. "Tell me they're just statues." They weren't. The ground shook as the guardians moved, stone grinding against stone. One raised its arm, blocking the mountain path. "Only the worthy may pass," it thundered. Liora stepped forward, heart pounding. "I carry the light," she said. The guardians tested her, not with strength, but with truth. Visions flooded her mind. Moments of fear, doubt, anger. Every time she had wanted to run, she nearly collapsed. Then she stood. "I'm afraid," she admitted, "but I will still move forward." The runes flared. The guardians stepped aside. For the first time, Kael smiled, not with sarcasm but pride. "You really are the light," he said quietly. The mountain path opened, and destiny waited above. The air inside the mountain shimmered. Crystals lined the walls, reflecting Liora's light into 1,000 fractured rainbows. Each step echoed like a heartbeat. At the center of the cavern floated the shard of dawn, a crystal pulsing with pure sunlight. Liora reached out. The moment her fingers touched it, power surged through her. Visions of the past and future collided. Suns rising, worlds falling, light reborn again and again. But she wasn't alone. Darkness seeped into the cavern. A voice echoed, cold and ancient. "You were never meant to succeed." The dark sorcerer emerged from the shadows, his presence draining the light itself. Kael stepped in front of Liora without hesitation. "I've run my whole life," he said. "I'm not running now." Steel met shadow. Liora clutched the shard, realizing the truth. The light could not rise without sacrifice. And the final choice was coming. The cavern trembled as darkness spread across the crystal walls. The dark sorcerer stood tall, his cloak moving like living shadow. Every step he took drained the light from the air, dimming even the shard of dawn in Liora's hands. "You don't understand the power you hold," the sorcerer said, his voice echoing endlessly. "Light always fades. Darkness is eternal." Kael charged first. Steel clashed against shadow, sparks flying as blade met magic. He fought with everything he had, anger, regret, hope, all poured into every strike. But the darkness pushed back harder. Liora screamed his name. The sorcerer raised his hand, hurling Kael across the cavern. He hit the crystal wall and collapsed, unmoving. "No!" Liora cried. Her light surged violently, cracking the ground beneath her feet. The shard of dawn responded, blazing brighter than ever before. "You want the light?" she shouted. "Then face it." She stepped forward, fear burning away into resolve. The light wrapped around her like wings, lifting her from the ground. Shadows screamed as they recoiled, but the sorcerer laughed. Light demands sacrifice, and he was right. Liora felt it then, the truth hidden within the prophecy. The sun could not be restored by power alone. It required a piece of her soul. Tears streamed down her face as she made her choice. She raised the shard of dawn high above her head and released everything she was. Light exploded. The cavern vanished in white brilliance. Darkness shattered, and silence followed. Morning came softly. Golden light spilled across the land, warming fields long forgotten. The sun rose higher than it had in generations, bright and whole. Villagers stepped outside in disbelief. Children laughed. Elders wept. Flowers bloomed where darkness once lingered. At the edge of the village, Kael stood alone, staring at the horizon. His armor was cracked, his body aching, but he was alive. "Liora," he whispered. Light gathered behind him. She stood there, changed yet familiar. Her glow was gentler now, steadier. The shard of dawn rested quietly at her side, its task complete. "You did it," Kael said, voice breaking. "We did it," she replied. Eryn appeared between them, tail flicking. "The balance is restored. For now." The sun climbed higher, banishing the last remnants of shadow from Ilaria. Hope had returned, and the world breathed again. Time passed. The world healed. Liora chose not to rule nor to hide. Instead, she taught. In a quiet forest clearing, children gathered around her, some glowing faintly, others simply curious. She showed them that light was not about power, but purpose. Kael traveled often, but always returned. His wandering days were over. He had found something worth staying for. Eryn watched from the trees, ever the guardian, ever the guide. The sun no longer feared the sky, and though darkness still existed, as it always would, it no longer ruled. Liora looked toward the horizon, smiling. Her journey had begun as a prophecy, but it ended as a promise. A promise that as long as there were those willing to carry the light, the world would never fall into darkness again.